Welcome, CEOs. I am Hermione Olivia, and I invite you to cherish every opportunity to connect the dots. CEO Yourself was created to be a destination for motivation and to inspire you wherever you are in your journey to become the CEO of your life. Coming up on this week's episode of CEO Yourself.
It's always been like that for me. You need a very, stable pool of people. Name your parents, who are everything to me, or your husband, your siblings, your children, or your colleagues. People who are going to be there to support you, and you're going to be there for them regardless. Follow your gut, be true to yourself, create a product that is yours, that is what makes it yours, and why do people want to, buy into your product, I guess.
Celia Muñoz is the founder and creative director of childrenswear label La Coqueta. On this week's episode of CEO Yourself, we deep dive her CEO superpower, building a team. Celia, welcome to CEO Yourself.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's such an honour to have you, and I'm so looking forward to deep diving your CEO superpower, building a team. Why did you choose that CEO superpower?
Well, I would say that on a professional level, that's my biggest pride. Obviously, La Coqueta is doing very well. We have customers all over the world. But I would say that secretly for me, my biggest ambition is to be surrounded by a team who loves what they do, loves me and I love them. And I feel it is possibly professionally one of my biggest achievements.
How many people do you have working for you these days?
So we have 22 people in total.
Amazing. And how many stores?
We have one store in Notting Hill. We have one concession in Selfridges, and then we have 3 points of sale in California.
What I found interesting when I was deep diving your story, and particularly in line with your CEO superpower, is that your family have actually been very involved and invested in La Coqueta.
Yes.
Now, some might say that that is risky, dangerous business.
Yes.
Can you unpack that for us?
Yes, of course. We've curated those interactions, of course. I started the business 12 years ago, and I'm very proud to have built a team that is incredibly smart, professional, and kind, I would say. And as my children have been growing, I've been trying to involve them in a way or another, just for them to get some professional experience, but also because, they have a skill set that actually can be used at La Coqueta. And quite frankly, I rather use my children. So, for example, they are expert stock takers. I think they have possibly counted the most socks in London. Obviously, being teenagers, it's not their favorite task, but I think it's been very, very good for them. They've also worked in photo shoots. They've been really helpful. Obviously, we're a very child-friendly family, so they know children intimately, and they help us greatly during photo shoots, so boys and girls. What I like the most about is that because I have been working with a team that has worked at La Coqueta for a very long time, they know my family very well. So it actually feels very natural for them to work with my children and vice versa.
Incredible to be breeding a work ethic into them so young. I heard
Absolutely.
your mother and your grandmother also helped you with the first store.
Yes. I mean, that was when La Coqueta was still an idea and a dream, and being a highly creative person. And I had at the time, not really great experience as an entrepreneur. The first thing I thought of was the shop and what it would look like. I didn't think of sales. I was just all over. And I think my mother is French, and so was my grandmother. They've got a great sense of aesthetics, which I think I have inherited, and I seeked their advice, and we actually built the original store in Hampstead together. And that was a whole family affair. I love the fact that, we chose the wallpaper together. We went to a store and found a counter, all of the little accessories, they were picked up at a flea market in Paris, it was lovely. And I will always cherish those moments. I mean, it feels like so long ago, but still, I think these things make La Coqueta very special.
They are such beautiful stores and they're so considered. And I do feel genuinely that the sense of family comes through. Even on your website, you can feel that there is a family behind the brand.
Oh, I'm glad.
So it's very impressive.
Thank you.
But I think we should dive into the tough question about building a team, particularly with family. How do you navigate those difficult days? And, it is stressful. You have 5 children.
Yes.
You have your own life. You are building a real business. These days, I'm sure it's not about the counter in the store, but it is about the numbers.
Yes.
How do you navigate the trickier days with your team?
Well, I guess, we've been in business for 12 years. And it hasn't always been easy. I mean, it took us, 7 years to make a true profit, because essentially, our strategy was to grow fast and big. Any profits that we made, we actually invested it in the team, and that was just part of the strategy. Some people start very gradually and they only do what they can afford, and we decided that for us, we needed to be, within a highly competitive industry, we needed to run fast and be the fastest runners. And in a way, the beginnings were very, very stressful. We made lots of mistakes, but we actually grew closer together. I think nowadays, when things aren't perfect, I think we're a lot more mature. We've made so many mistakes in a way that it's now we're just like, okay, right, this is not open heart surgery. Let's breathe in, let's brainstorm. And I would say one of the things that we do very well at La Coqueta, there isn't a single person who makes a decision alone. I own the business, but the reality is that I do not make those decisions. It's always like a football team. There's one person really leading with the ball, and then, but it's a team effort. And I think there's something to be said about that. It's very comforting, and it's a very protective factor in business. So I would say that, look, unless, there's a fire and everything burns, or there's very little that we cannot do together.
How would you describe your management style?
I think it's been an evolution. I wouldn't say that I was...
Very diplomatic.
How would I say this? Well, so I'm going to say something not very diplomatic. I don't know if it's allowed, but when I started, I had a very, being Spanish and French, let's say continental European style of management. And that wasn't good. I think I wasn't a very nice person to work with, not because I was unkind but I was highly ambitious. I had at the time 5 children under 5. When I started the business, my youngest baby was 6 months. Yes, I did have help at home, but it is still very stressful. And I was, my husband and I are very involved as parents. And essentially, I think I was genuinely very, very stressed. There was a lot that I didn't know. I started from scratch and the wrong way around. I opened a store rather than going wholesale, testing the waters. I was just clueless. And I met a lot of people, and I was really filled with good intentions. But I think I wanted people to work as hard as I did. And the reality is that at the time, I had no life. And it was very hard. And I think that was, in a way, without me wanting it, I was projecting that on on to, some of the people I worked with, not everyone, obviously, but if I could go back and I could change things, I would really amend that. Because
what would you change it to?
I would change it to how it is now. It's about being, very cooperative, about trusting the people that you work with. I think I have been better at attracting people who are really very good at what they do and something that I cannot do. So there is an innate respect in there, because in a way we all need each other. So really, I think for me, the key is really having a team where there is no overlap of skills. We all feel that we own a franchise, and we have a lot to say about it. And that, in a way, makes you a much better manager because it's very teamy. I think I listen to people, but I'm also me. I'm able to voice my concerns. We're able to challenge each other, but there's nothing that is said to me that I never listen to. And unlike 12 years ago, where I felt everything had to be done my way, I actually, most of the times, I think, oh my God, this is such a great idea. And I didn't think of that. And I really thrive with that, working with people who are younger, better, more clever, it's just such an enriching environment. And very selfishly, I really benefit from it and I thrive with it.
Someone I greatly admire and respect in business recently said to me, true success comes when you accept the mundane. And what he meant by that was, not everyone wants to be a manager. Not everyone wants to be a leader. Not everyone has great ambitions, but you need people at every level to succeed.
Absolutely.
And I found that to be so confronting at first, and then so wonderfully put, because it is true. For success, you need all scale of different people and energies in the room.
Absolutely. And everybody is super important. Like, there's nobody who works at La Coqueta who has a completely irrelevant job at all levels. And I think for me, it's, going back to the management style, it's very important to convey that respect, and that I'm just very thankful to work with people. And ultimately, I just want to work with people for a very long time. So you try to do your best.
It sounds like you're very self-aware and very willing to change, which is incredibly important in business and in building a team.
Yes, I feel it's been a journey, and obviously it's a never-ending journey. But I'm definitely more aware than when I started the business. And it's wonderful to be able to measure that.
Some might call you a superwoman, in fact, having 5 kids under the age of 5 and deciding to build a business and then being so ambitious at it. Where did that ambition come from at that point in your life?
So, well, I mean, the superwoman, in fact, my mother gave me the other day a cutting from a newspaper where it said, superwoman, 5 children under 5, etc. And of course, it does look like that, but I don't feel like a superwoman in a way that, I'm very privileged. My husband has a very good job. It's not like I started a business. I was living under a bridge. I'm a single mom struggling, with 5 children. So I actually feel that I have been very lucky to have a lot of help around me. My husband is Dutch. He is incredibly involved in the family and very, very helpful. And to me, I wouldn't have been able to start La Coqueta without him. I can proudly say that as a mama of 5, and at the time under 5, I have not cooked for a single day for the past 20 years. And that's hardly a superwoman.
Is everyone starving?
I would love to say I had an army of people cooking for me, but no, it was all my husband.
Wow.
We've always been very good at sharing tasks, and he did all the cooking, and he cooked for a month, for a whole weekend. And I did the chatting and drinking wine for the time being. And he, we froze everything. So what I mean to say by that is that, I have been able to do it because I have a lot of help. My parents are very involved. My family-in-law, was always there, present. I had a nanny, a housekeeper at the time, so who helped me, with all the things that are incredibly important in your house that your children will never thank you for, so that I could actually dedicate my life to my work. And when I was not at work, I was, playing Lego with my children or with my husband.
It's wonderful of you to acknowledge it, not just for each of them who've given to you and helped you, but for the listener to be honest and upfront about it, because I do think it's important for people to hear that.
Yes. I mean, it is, we always say at work, working is for women, it is a privilege. If you have children and you have to pay for childcare, schooling, etc. The reality is it is a privilege, and that's the reason I feel very privileged. Now, I try to make the most of it and really enjoy that privilege and try to enjoy myself and make sure that the people I work with enjoy themselves as well.
It's a beautiful and refreshing perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. But I try in a way I am very disciplined when it comes to my life. So although I am very creative in my work and in my thoughts, I am actually very, very structured. Again, just like my management style, I wasn't always like that. I come from the south of Spain. It's all, always a little bit loose. But actually, my husband is Dutch, and when we met more than 20 years ago, he really taught me, in a way, I learned from him how to be extremely organized. And he learned from me to loosen up a bit. And actually, somehow, it has been very good for our relationship and our family. And because of that, I have been able to also create a business like La Coqueta. It's about discipline, it's about resilience and, working very hard and not giving up. But also just like being a mother, not beating yourself up every time there's something wrong or you do something wrong, because essentially every day there's something that is not perfect. So just having more of a mindset of good enough, in a way, good enough mother, good enough. There's no one who tries to do a really bad job at work, proactively, or being a terrible parent proactively. And I feel content and satisfied with that.
So you talked about your strategy being to just kind of sprint for the first 7 years.
Yes.
What would your advice be to the listener out there today wanting to start a brand or a business, given the changes that have happened as well in the world around us and with technology? Would you do the same thing now?
Well, I guess yes, because one of my biggest claims to the success of La Coqueta was really to build a digital imprint very early on. So I remember when I started our shop, I opened the shop in Hampstead. I worked in our store for the first 2 years, and I was essentially working a shop, enjoying my job as a shopkeeper. It actually allowed me to meet all of my customers. But one of the things, actually, if I would say one good idea that I had at the time, was to launch my online business 2 weeks after I opened my store. And that really allowed me to discover the the reach that you can have online, the control that you can have over your sales. And that really helped me from the very beginning. So I would say that was one of the things that I would do again. And, for any business owners, I think just having a social media platform where you can essentially share your work, but also, having an online presence and really building that community from the very beginning is very important. That's maybe something that I should have done more then, that I'm discovering more now.
Community is everything. You're so right.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about practically building our teams.
Yes.
It is such an intimidating step, particularly when you have a small business and every resource counts.
Yes.
How would you advise the listener to practically recruit?
Well, I don't think I have a solution. I think it's
trial and error.
It's always trial and error. I mean, I think as you grow as a business and you grow your team, you become better at it. There's always a risk attached to it, not just for you as a business owner or your colleagues, but also for the person who starts. It's a very intimidating process for everyone. For me, it is a role that I take very seriously at La Coqueta. I think I like to work with... I am a very faithful person. I am Cancer. I don't know if that means anything, but I really love working with the same people for a very long time. And I think there is a lot of beauty on long-lasting relationships and with people who actually really matter. So one of the things I would say is that, one of the advices I would give is to follow your gut feeling. Of course, you need to take someone, and I've made that mistake before, someone who can actually do the job, who's got experience, and not find out on the first day that person actually is not as experienced as you thought they would be. But actually, once people are able to do the role, is really about a moral code of conduct, about values and sharing those values. And we work very hard at achieving that at La Coqueta. And I think it's been part of the success of the business. Definitely, at management level, we have a huge retention. I've been working with our MD for 10 years. Our FD has been in the business for a very, very long time. Head of Ecom, as well for more than 6 years. It's been, so I feel very proud of that. And I think it is because ultimately we all share the same goal, but we all have the same values, despite the fact that we all come from very different places, we have different upbringings, but when it comes to make a decision or behaving in a particular way, we share the same morals, and that is incredibly important.
Such an interesting point, because how do you identify values and morals whilst in the recruitment phase? It's very difficult to do so.
Well, I think you build some case studies. For me, it's quite important to put some live examples. Mm-hmm. And actually, I love asking questions about moments where people have been, less able to do something, or I like to know what the least proud moments were, because that just is very telling about a person. And actually just thinking about them, being able to verbalize them and being able to share them shows quite a lot, I think. And I am interested in that, and I certainly know my colleagues are.
Would you be open to sharing details around how you incentivize your team? Because in this day and age, there's post-COVID world, some people really want to work from home, some people want everyone back in the office. It is a different day and age in terms of what sits right with both the employer and the employee. What do you think is the magic solution?
Absolutely. I mean, I think conceptually, I can share. I guess the best people to ask are the people who work at La Coqueta. But for me, what's really important to to know is what motivates each person. So just relating back and going back to a family, just like, I have 5 children, I have 5 teenagers now, and they are all their own person and with their own personality. It's the same applies to the people who work in your business. And of course, you need a baseline. And I think, that baseline, we all know what it is. But for me, I like to really reward effort. And that effort needs to be a team effort. So your success, just like my success, is dependent on everybody's success. And I think you work a lot harder, particularly if you see that somebody, needs assistance or you need a little bit of help, when you have a goal that is going to be, quite meaty for you at the end of a particular period. You actually, make an extra effort to make it work. So I am a sharer. Not initially, but when you work with people, and I feel incredibly grateful to the people I work with, particularly our management team, who's been working there. For me, it is really important that they feel like it is their business. And for me, eventually, I think it is important to share part of that business with the people who help you succeed. And I think that has been a very powerful tool. And again, that is, for me, it is my dream to create a business and to grow a business where everybody feels they are part of in a meaningful way that is meaningful to them as individuals and as and for their family in a way.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that does require a certain amount of vulnerability and transparency on your half, which is quite scary, but you have proven you've got a track record of employees who want to stay with you, and they, I guess, have earned their seat at the table and your trust. I
think so far so good. You never know, what the future brings, but the only thing I can say from having done things really far from perfect at the very beginning, not that I'm doing them perfectly now, but that evolution and really, opening myself and becoming more vulnerable and really sharing a lot more and sharing the success. I mean, ultimately, success out of nothing or no sales or no business, unhappy team, is that success? It doesn't mean anything. At the very beginning, I used to get the call every Saturday and Sunday. I made a point of working just from Monday to Friday. I think the first 2 years, I worked 7 days a week because essentially, people in the shop were just, not turning up to work. And that's not on them. That was on me. And that was pretty powerful. And I'm very proud to say that, I've learned a lot and things are very different now.
You've not only built a team at La Coqueta, but you've built a team at home.
Yes.
You have a little football team of your own. What would your advice be to the listener about how to harness the power of a team, both personally and professionally?
Well, what has worked really well for me, and it's always been like that for me, you need a very, stable pool of people. Name your parents, who are everything to me, or, your husband, your siblings, your children, or your colleagues, people who are going to be there to support you, and you're going to be there for them regardless. And there's something really powerful about that, because I feel very safe. I feel I can do no wrong, despite the fact that I get many things wrong. I work with people and I live with people who accept me the way I am, with the goods and the bads. And there's something really comforting about it. because it's very empowering. You know, your self-esteem goes up and it enhances you in a way. And I feel that I have that at home. And believe me, you know, at home I get so many things wrong. Particularly lately, I just feel like, you know, teenage years, 5 teenagers is
I can only
is
imagine
a real
how loud your household
challenge,
is.
and it's as wonderful as it is, but I don't always feel, oh, you know, I've really, you know, nailed it today. But I feel like that at work. You know, I work with people who actually keep me on edge. They you know, because they know you so well, they challenge you and you do exactly the same thing. I would say we're very good at that at La Coqueta. You know, keeping each other on our toes so that there's never a situation where you get too comfortable. And we've learned how to be very accepting of that in order to improve. So, yes, I think that's a formula that works for me.
Is there anything in your day, week or month at La Coqueta that we could implement in our lives at work? You know, like, do you have a monthly strategy meeting or do you have like a monthly think tank? Is there something that you've learned to implement that allows people an opportunity to voice where they're at, or is there just like something in there that we could implement in our own professional lives?
Yes, I mean, we have a weekly team meeting, you know, to talk about trade, to talk about sales, to talk about, I mean, I think it's pretty standard for businesses to have that. And you know, at La Coqueta, particularly at the very beginning, from the very beginning, we've really tried to behave very professionally. So despite the fact that I was on my own, you know, in my garage, looking at my wall, I made sure that we had a monthly board meeting and we had, you know, regular meetings with the people that I worked with. And I think it's just having that hygiene is really important when it comes to work, regardless of your size. We've got a monthly stand-up meeting where essentially we all meet in the office and everybody talks about what they're working on, what they're doing, what they would like to do, you know, wish list, etc. And it's actually a very good way for all teams, particularly as we are, you know, growing our team quite quickly. It's a way, for different, you know, teams to be able to interact with each other and to be able to share what they are working on, for people to be able to acquire a more holistic knowledge about their business, our business. So, you know, take a little bit of a step back and rather, you know, it's very easy when you just work on marketing to just see things. It's all marketing, you know, but there is so much more than design and marketing and accountancy, finance. So it's, I think it's a way for people to be able to understand the business as a whole and be able to make better decisions. And from a personal perspective, I think it's really good because people talk to each other, you know, they bond, they discuss and share things. We have also regular outings, you know, in the evenings sometimes, but, you know, we have people who have families, people who don't have children. So we try to do activities that please everyone. So every team, you know, every so often they essentially propose an activity. So we had our MD, you know, organizing a Pilates session. Another time we went to a fun fair. You know, so it's quite diverse and it's fun. You know, there isn't a single time where people have no fun.
It's amazing what you've just touched on here, which was my final point, which is your incredible diligence and hearing and reflecting. And I'm just imagining you in your garage with the wall and doing the hygiene in the board meetings, even back then. I think it paved the way to your success. So it's not surprising. I heard that you did 2 years of research before you launched the brand.
Yes.
What would you say to the listener about Diligence?
Well, I think it's really important, just going back to that, work hygiene, and make sure that you have a plan. If you don't think about what your objective is, and you don't define it, it's quite difficult to get there, and for me, yes, research has been incredibly important at La Coqueta, to know your market. I think becoming very knowledgeable at what you do is absolutely essential. And the only thing, I had no retail experience when I started at La Coqueta. I'm a psychologist by training, and I worked in headhunting for many years, so I did something completely different. But it's pretty amazing what you learn in 2 years of doing your own research and talking to people in the field. And listen, there's nothing such as starting your own business, opening your shop and working there 24/7. It's pretty powerful. It's a great school of learning.
The penny dropped as to why you understand people so well there in closing out.
I guess.
That all makes sense. Now, we always close with the same question, which is, what is your legacy piece of advice?
That's a difficult one. I don't like giving advice because it can always be a little bit tricky. I can talk about the things that worked for me and that I think are very important. I think if you are to start your own business, I think really building that digital print is essential and really paramount to the success of your business. Building a community around it is very important. I think follow your gut, be true to yourself, create a product that is yours, that is what makes it yours, and why do people want to buy into your product, I guess. So it is very fun to illustrate yourself and to learn about others, but never go to the route of not being genuine. Be true to who you are. Why are you so original? I think nowadays I really always go for the original idea or something new. So I think that's really important when coming up with your own business. And then and I don't say this lightly, but embrace failure. Cry about it, feel sorry for yourself, surround yourself by people who can actually give you that hug when you really need it. And draw lessons learned afterwards and keep them close to you and go back to them often, because there's always a pattern and you learn a lot from it.
Wonderful, wonderful words of wisdom. Thank you so much. Where can the listener find you and La Coqueta?
Well, that's very straightforward. You can find us at www.lacoquetakids.com. I'd like to think that we've got a very good customer service experience through our online store, and we deliver all over the world. You can find us in our store in Notting Hill on Ledbury Road and in Selfridges.
Celia, it truly is the greatest honour of my life to have the privilege of sitting down with incredible women like you and to share your story. So thank you so much for your time and for being here today, and I can't wait to share your story.
Likewise, I've enjoyed this thoroughly. It's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I hope you're loving this week's episode. To find more inspirational resources and to shop our new product range, visit ceoyourself.com.